Hi everyone! I hope you are having an amazing day. This is Teacher Kevin A. Domingo once again, your kind of K. We can go serious. We can go funny. We can go real. We can go fancy. But every time I teach, I do it with sincerity. This is DepEd TV! Last time we discussed photosynthesis. We learned the process of making food for plants. It involves the energy from the sun, water, and carbon dioxide. It gives off oxygen and makes simple sugar like glucose. The standard formula for photosynthesis is 6 atoms of carbon dioxide plus water through the energy from the sun absorbed by the chlorophyll will yield glucose and oxygen. We also discussed about the processes involved in it, such as the photo part and the synthesis part. The photo part covers the light-dependent reactions, and the synthesis part covers the light-independent reactions. The light-independent reactions is also known as the Calvin cycle or the dark reactions. Again, let us review them by looking at the table of comparison. Light-dependent reactions happen at the thylakoid, where the chlorophyll, a green pigment of the plant, absorbs the photons or energy from the sun, while the light-independent reactions happens at the stroma. Light-dependent reactions require the presence of light, while light-independent reactions do not. The reactants for the light-dependent reactions are water, NADP+, and ADP plus phosphorus, while the reactants for light-independent reactions are carbon dioxide, ATP, and NADPH. The products of light-dependent reactions are oxygen, ATP, and NADPH, while the products of the light-independent reactions are glucose, NAD+, and ADP plus phosphorus. Both processes require and generate ATP. Both utilizes the electron transport chain through oxidation reduction, and both utilizes the ATP synthase. Did you see that kind of extreme exercise? When you do an exercise, you move the different parts of your body, just like your arms and your legs. Learners, I encourage you that even though you are at home, you should make an exercise by just simply sweeping the floor, cleaning the house, or folding your clothes. Just like a car, it has to have enough fuel inside its tank for it to run. Otherwise, you will not be able to go to any place. Food is essentially a source of energy for our body. Have you experienced skipping a meal? It feels so terrible. You're like a cell phone with low battery charge. You cannot move actively. You become dull and weak. That is almost hard for you to push or pull objects. What is it with the food that makes it a source of energy? It is the molecule called the ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. There is a process that our cells go through to provide themselves with power. The process is called cellular respiration. It is how we derive energy from the food that we eat. Most of the food that we eat, like rice, bread, cereals, and many more, turning into glucose. Cellular respiration requires glucose and oxygen to produce energy, while the carbon dioxide and water are the byproducts. Before we can use the glucose from the food that we eat into a usable form of energy, it has to be converted first. We have the chemical formula for one molecule of glucose. It is C6, H12, and O6.
And in order to turn this glucose into energy, we need to add 6 molecules of oxygen. Now, we are going to turn the glucose and oxygen into molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water. Again, glucose and oxygen are the reactants, while carbon dioxide, water, and ATP are the products. Now, do you think we can use it already? Not yet. Our body still has to turn it into a more specific form of stored energy, and we call it as ATP or adenosine triphosphate. It is sometimes referred to as the currency of biological energy.
The same goes with energy. Before we can use it, it has to be converted into ATP, and that is the only way we can use it as a form of usable energy. It is evident in many life processes such as moving, growing, and creating impulses in the brain, among others. Now, let us compare cellular respiration and photosynthesis.
In terms of process, cellular respiration is a process that releases energy, while photosynthesis is a process that absorbs energy. In terms of energy requirement, cell respiration uses chemical energy from the food, while photosynthesis uses light energy from the sun. In terms of reactants, cellular respiration uses glucose and oxygen, while photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide and water. In terms of their products, cellular respiration produces carbon dioxide and water, while in photosynthesis are glucose and oxygen. In terms of organisms, cellular respiration occurs in plants and animals, while photosynthesis occurs in all green plants. In terms of the role of glucose, in cellular respiration, glucose is broken down, while in photosynthesis, glucose is produced. In terms of time, cellular respiration occurs in all times, while photosynthesis happens only in the presence of light. And in terms of sight, cellular respiration takes place at the mitochondria, while the photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplasts.
The two biological reactions that complement each other in the environment are photosynthesis and respiration, that occur in reverse manner. In the process of respiration, oxygen and glucose yield water and carbon dioxide, while carbon dioxide and water yields glucose and oxygen in photosynthesis. Both photosynthesis and respiration can function enough as living organisms provide carbon dioxide for plants that undergo photosynthesis and produces glucose. Bacteria and plants release oxygen that is required for all living organisms for respiration.
The standard equation for cellular respiration and photosynthesis are almost opposite processes, meaning the interchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide by cellular respiration and photosynthesis helps in maintaining both atmospheric oxygen and carbon dioxide and differ in the form of energy that is being absorbed or released.
Notice that the products of cellular respiration became the reactants of photosynthesis. They really complement each other. This is exactly what is happening in our ecosystem. Plants absorb carbon dioxide released by animals. It also absorbs water from the environment through the help of the sunlight upon absorption. They form glucose and oxygen that animals need for them to produce carbon dioxide and water that plants need. It is just a cycle. Wow, such a complex process. That is why all of us are interconnected. We need one another to survive.
For our learning task number 1, you will observe the diagram showing the exchange of materials during photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Then, you will answer the guide questions.
Here are the questions. Number 1. In which part of the cell does photosynthesis happen? Number 2. In which part of the cell does respiration happen? Question number 3. What energy is needed by the photosynthetic organisms during the process of photosynthesis? Number 4. What energy is needed by organisms during cell respiration? And number 5. What are the materials needed during photosynthesis? Let us answer question number 1. In which part of the cell does photosynthesis happen? The answer is chloroplast. Let us answer question number 2. In which part of the cell does respiration happen? The answer is mitochondria. Let us answer question number 3. What energy is needed by photosynthetic organisms during the process of photosynthesis? The answer is light energy. Let us answer question number 4. What energy is needed by organisms during cell respiration? The answer is chemical energy. Let us answer question number 5. What are the materials needed during photosynthesis? The answer is carbon dioxide and water. Get ready for the learning task number 2. Photosynthesis is the process used by plants and some bacteria to create energy from sunlight. Chlorophyll is the green pigment in plants that is responsible for this conversion process. During photosynthesis, phototrophs use energy from the sun along with carbon dioxide and water to form glucose and oxygen. Can you illustrate the equation for photosynthesis? Go ahead, you will also label it properly. Light-dependent thylakoid uses light energy, ATP and NADPH. And the light-independent or dark reaction, stroma, fixation, reduction, no sunlight needed. Concepts include photosynthesis and respiration. Good job! Now, we will proceed to learning task number 3. Respiration process and equation. Respiration is the process of taking oxygen from the air and cycling it through the lungs, which then gives oxygen to blood to be used in the body. The carbon dioxide waste is expelled out of the lungs. Cellular respiration uses glucose or sugars from the food molecules and turn them into carbon dioxide, water, and ATP, a nucleotide essential to the body. Cellular respiration can occur both aerobically, using oxygen, or anaerobically, without oxygen. During aerobic cellular respiration, glucose reacts with oxygen, forming ATP that can be used by the cell. Carbon dioxide and water are created as byproduct. Your task is to illustrate the equation of cellular respiration and label it properly.
Okay, let's answer. The equation for cellular respiration is glucose plus 6 atoms of oxygen will yield 6 atoms of carbon dioxide plus 6 atoms of water plus ATP.
Nice try, learners! You always have the time to practice. Now, in the next activity, you will identify the term by reading the description.
Question number 1. The process happening inside the cell of organisms is... The answer is cellular respiration. Number 2. The primary energy carrier in living things is... The answer is adenosine triphosphate or ATP. Number 3. Cellular respiration occurs in the... The answer is mitochondria. Number 4. The jelly-like substance that fills the space between is... The answer is the cytoplasm. Number 5. The process that requires oxygen is... The answer is aerobic. Number 6. The process that does not require oxygen is... The answer is anaerobic. And number 7. An anaerobic pathway for breaking down glucose is... The answer is fermentation.
Marvelous! Nice try, grade 9! And for the last activity, you will complete the table of comparison between photosynthesis and cellular respiration.
And here are the answers. Number 1. It happens in all organisms, specifically in aerobic. Number 2. The process occurs in the chloroplasts. Number 3. The reactants are glucose and oxygen. Number 4. The products are glucose and oxygen. And number 5. It undergoes catabolic process.
Learners, I hope you learned something from today's episode about photosynthesis and cellular respiration. This is teacher Kevin A. Domingo, your kind of gay, and this is DepEd TV!